Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Another episode of Trash Talk. I'm TJ O'Connor. With me, as always, Damian the Wolverine Hill. And we're joined tonight by one half of the main event this Saturday night, September 11th, Three River Throwdown 17. You know him. I know him. We all know him. Tom Krenzel. But before we get into the interview, sponsors of the show, Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Ink Shrinks Tattoo, the Striking Institute, James Clark Sports Psychology and Hypnosis Therapy, The Fighters, and my mom. Mr. Tom Krenzel, how you doing today, sir?
Doing very well. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you for taking the time with us, especially during fight week. I know that this is always the most stressful week for a lot of fighters, or sometimes it is. It might not be for you. How are you actually feeling this week going into the fight, and how's the weight?
My weight's good. I'm roughly at about 200 pounds right now, and I got to make 186. And pulling 14 pounds of water for me is pretty easy.
Yeah.
So no weight. More of a mental grind than actually the physical grind. Just always thinking about what you're eating, how much water you're drinking. That's kind of wearing me out. But physically, 85 is perfect for me.
Oh, hell yeah. That's what I love to hear too, And then, excuse me. Sorry, guys. The preparation that you've had going into this fight spans almost 3 years, because I believe you said you hadn't fought since 2018 in MMA, and now you're starting to make your return, but you're making your return against a guy who also had a 2-year layoff himself, and the layoff that most guys have been facing and seeing has been forced upon them due to COVID. Is that one of the things that I don't know, the fact that everybody has been laid off as well, do you feel like this is the right time for you to start coming back? And what have you been doing to prepare yourself for this comeback? Or have you never left the gym? Because you could have been in the gym this whole 3 years.
Yeah, I was ready to fight probably 6 months ago, but everything was still pretty slow. I dealt with a knee injury, but the layoff basically just made me heal up to 100%. Without a layoff, I probably would have rushed back. So maybe the lockdown probably helped me a little bit, kept me out of the gym, because I'd be back in there as soon as possible. Yeah, just a lot of jiu-jitsu, a lot of kickboxing. I don't really have a whole lot of hobbies. I train martial arts, I don't really do a whole lot of other stuff. So yeah.
I love it. I love the optimistic look at the pandemic layoff of just hey, it might have hindered some people, but it worked for me. It allowed me to get healthy and focus on things. Coming into this, you mentioned you'd been ready about half a year ago. Everything's slow. When did you first get the opportunity and hear about this fight and the matchup you had with Ben here?
I had plenty of time for this fight, maybe a couple months. I think Ben Locken, one of my coaches, my MMA coach, he came to me with the fight, gave me a name, gave me a record in a weight class, and I said, yeah, let's do it. I was getting a little afraid he would never ask, just kind of sitting around, just waiting for the call. And then when he did, I got, very excited, ready to go. Good matchup. I didn't really know who Ben Ross was, or didn't know a lot about him. And so then I watched a couple of his fights, and he's actually a pretty fun fighter to watch. So sometimes film on guys is kind of boring, but his fights were entertaining and fun to watch.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we know that you have watched this film and that you were studying his tape and everything, what do you think one of the most dangerous attributes that he has is, or what do you have to look out for the most in this fight? And if that's giving away too much, feel free to say pass.
No, he throws a lot of punches, and he seems like he enjoys fighting. He doesn't come off as a timid guy. He doesn't really play around. Some fights are a little different. Sometimes he comes right after guys and starts throwing the jab, starts throwing punches. When he fights a grappler, sometimes he kind of lays back and maybe tries to pick his shots from the outside. And when he does get hit, he doesn't really shell up. If anything, he just throws more punches and he throws harder punches, which I respect. I like that.
Yeah. Okay. So, uh, me and TJ, we see you as a grappler. You know, we've known you for a long time. We've trained with you and everything. But you train at a gym that is known for their striking. So, how do you feel him if he does play the long game and not actually try to engage with you as much and pick his shots more? How do you think that you're going to be able to match up against that type of style versus if he just comes bull rushing at you?
Yeah, either way, it'll be good for me. If he comes straight at me, I'll clinch with him and probably take it to the ground. And if he lays back, I'll just have to track him down, throw some punches in his face, get him against the cage, and work for the takedown. If I can't take him down, I'm not too worried. Like you said, I train at a very good gym for striking, and I've been striking for more than 5 years at the gym. So I'm not worried about that. If anything, it makes me more comfortable. Before, when I didn't do any striking, I was just kind of a jiu-jitsu guy. If I couldn't get the takedown, I sometimes would panic, and I think it would hurt my cardio a lot. So now that I'm comfortable on the feet, it's just gonna make my jiu-jitsu and my grappling that much better.
Yeah, and using that experience as well. You know, like you said, people can look back at your old film, but I mean, you've had so many fights now. You know, you might see how many you've only had the 6 pro fights, but you've been fighting now for over a decade. So using that experience and the growth into, you know, how you've become as a fighter, do you think, you know, I mean, not even think, is it safe to say that we're going to see a whole new Tom Krenzel this Saturday night?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's weird to say you're the best fighter you've ever been, but with me, it's pretty obvious I am. But I never stopped doing jiu-jitsu, so my jiu-jitsu is still sharp. And I mean, taking that. Did I hang up?
No.
Oh, I didn't. Maybe it's just my phone.
Yeah, no, I can still hear and see you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You say I've been fighting for over a decade. Wow, that's a long time. I didn't even know it was that long. That's a long time. Man, I don't feel that old. But yeah, I guess you're right. 2010, so that's a long time. But I still enjoy it, and I think when I moved over to doing more striking and stand-up martial arts, it just brought back my passion for the sport and just gave me something new and something else to do. So, and I've learned to love kickboxing now too as well, which is good.
Oh yeah. I guess there's this quote that I always say. It's wisdom doesn't come with age; it comes with experience. You know, you're still a young guy, but you have 10 years of mixed martial arts experience under your belt. How confident does that make you feel? Actually, like hearing and paying attention to that, because you said you didn't even know it's been 10 years. Well, I'd like to tell you, sir, most people that forget that they're at work while they're working usually love their job that much. So that's all I got to say about that. But how do you feel knowing that it's been 10 years, and does that make you feel more confident?
Yeah, having a team with me now definitely makes me feel more confident. Like before fights in my amateur career, it was basically just me. I kind of was just on my own. A lot of the times I would train at gyms, obviously, but I wouldn't bring coaches. I wouldn't bring cornermen. I would just show up. So now when I show up and I got 2 great coaches, I got people there with me. Yeah, my confidence just goes to another level when you got people with you.
That's hell yeah.
Definitely. I mean, this is a very individual sport when you see it when the lights on and the cage doors locked. But behind closed doors, I mean, it takes an army, it takes a team to build this stuff. And like you said, you find in that team, finding your spot. What do you think that's done for you in your growth? Like you already mentioned, you were able to refine your passion, but finding that team and please take time to shout anybody out that you want. I mean, I know we usually do that later as well, but I like what you're saying about how much the team has helped you grow. How much do you think that's expanded your growth as far as your ability, not necessarily just your fighting skill?
I mean, I want to clarify, I never lost my passion at all, but just learning striking was just a whole new world that opened up to me and just more for me to enjoy. But yeah, the passion, I never really lost it. Yeah, I enjoy the team. I originally went there, kind of floated around a bunch of different gyms, and you guys remember Marcelo Nunez, the old black belt?
Yep.
Yeah.
He was a seller, so one day I thought I was pretty tough at the time and just showed up. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for maybe 4 or 5 years, and he completely just ragdolled me. I mean, I couldn't do anything with him, and I thought I was a good jiu-jitsu guy at the time. Like, I already had a bunch of fights and stuff. So after that, I just kind of leached onto him and became his sparring partner, grappling dummy for a few years. And then once he left, go back to Las Vegas, I just kind of wandered over to the Muay Thai and the kickboxing, and I ran into you guys know Antonio Dvorak,
Oh yeah, yep.
boxer, and again walked over there thinking this won't be too bad. I'll be able to handle myself. And I think the first time we sparred, he kicked me in the rib, just tore my rib to pieces. I was out for a while, and then so I just kept going back, and then I became his sparring partner for a few years. So people kind of beat me up or show me what's going on, I kind of go, I stick around them, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things like, how'd you beat me up? Teach me how not to let that happen again. And that's usually when guys actually start to grow a whole lot more. So I'm glad that you actually recognize that and seen that. But yeah, the bouncing around gyms and finding a team, I mean, you found a great team. A lot of high level fighters at that gym. I don't know what has it been like working there. I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit or whatever, but like what has it been like just being in that room compared to when you started your first year as an amateur?
Well, yeah, my first year as an amateur, I would just kind of go to the open rolls for jiu-jitsu, and the old mixed martial arts Minnesota Mixed Martial Arts Academy. It wasn't even the academy at the time. They had like an hour open roll before every jiu-jitsu class. So I would do that hour open roll and then sometimes stay for class, sometimes do that. And then just started taking fights and started fighting people. I had, like a bullshit high school wrestling background, thought I was the toughest guy. And, they didn't approve of that when they would see me at fights. Like, hey, aren't you that guy that just started doing jiu-jitsu? I was like, yeah, sorry about that. I didn't know the etiquette at the time.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Some of those some of those serious guys is a little tough at the time. They kind of look at you like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah. Dude, I didn't know. Sorry, I didn't know either. So like, there's a lot of shit that's like, as you're learning, I'm like, I was laughing at the fact like, dude, I totally understand.
No, they always say it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. I'm gonna find out I can't do that before I can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, I found the back where my dad was taping up my hands, and they were like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, I'm ready to fight. I'm here to fight.
Yeah, they're like, no, we're not gonna let you. He's like, well, it's kind of fucking too late. So
Kind of a grown man, so I'm gonna go fight this guy. But
yeah. Oh man, that's
terrible decision. Just a terrible idea.
Oh man, honestly, I'm glad because we've known each other for years, and I've never heard that story. That I love that. So I don't even have a question. I just wanted to tell you how much I love that.
Yeah, definitely bringing the interview back on track here. Going into Saturday night, you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier when you were mentioning, Ben's style and things you can do to kind of make sure that you come out on top. But if you had to narrow it down, and say that there's one thing you have to bring into the cage with you to make sure that when you're walking in, obviously he's the hometown guy. You're walking into the enemy's territory. What do you have to do to make sure you get your hand raised on Saturday night?
All I got to do is get it to the floor. If it goes to the floor, I think he's a dead man. I think I'm just levels above whatever he's got on the ground. And, I mean, he can obviously he gets to try to prove me wrong, but I think he's going to try to stay away from the ground. And if it goes to the ground, that's going to be it for me. And I didn't know I was the main event. Thanks for the
co-main event.
Co-main. TJ actually mispronounced it at the beginning of the interview. I was gonna mention that, but as they say,
watch it back. I said co-main event. I'll argue to the death of me.
No, you didn't. You didn't, because I was thinking about interrupting you and saying that, but you were already into the sponsor, so I didn't because I think I'd ruin the interview. But I 100% know it. I'm gonna send you the clip.
I'm gonna
Now,
watch it live.
but yeah, it's Felipe Martinez, a teammate of theirs. But as you know, no fight is official until fight night. So if anything happens, you could get bumped up because I didn't know I was supposed to be the co-main event for my last fight. Day before I got bumped up, so who knows? But everybody's happens. But no, okay, sorry. Because of my argument with TJ just now, thanks TJ. I forgot my last question.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't have one either, but I feel like it's been insightful, Tom. I'm glad getting this feel from you. I feel like the growth and this time off. We're going to see a new Tom Krenzel this Saturday night. For the people that are living under a rock, explain to them why they should be there on Saturday to make sure that they see this fight.
Well, luckily for me, he's the one. It's his hometown. He's got to sell the tickets, so I don't care who shows up. Friends that are coming, and as long as they're there, I don't really care if anyone else shows up. As long as Ben shows up, I'll be there to fight.
Oh, I fucking love it, man. That's perfect. You know, showing up to somebody else's hometown and planning on getting your hand raised. You know what? You do all the work. I'll meet you in the cage. It's perfect. I love it. Before we start to wrap this up, we do love giving all of the fighters a platform to thank any sponsors, teammates, family members, fucking special religion people. I don't know. I'm not a religious guy, but if you are, fucking thank anybody you would love. Platform is yours, sir.
Well, I don't have any sponsors, so if anyone out there wants to give me some free gear, I'll take it. Thanks to my team at the Cellar. Yeah, that's about it. I don't need to thank too many people. They all know who they are. I'll see them in person. I'll thank them then.
Hell yeah, that's respect, brother.
Yeah, you know who you are. He loves you. And we love you too, Tom. Thanks for sitting with us, talking with us here tonight. It was a blast. Can't wait to see you again this Saturday night, September 11th. Tom Krenzel versus Ben Ross. It's going down at Three River Throwdown 17 on Alaska, Wisconsin. Like this video. Subscribe to Trash Talk with Damien and TJ. Damien, remind them what to do.
Oh, don't be a hoe.